I'm standing here at the now closed Fidler Lane level crossing in Mount Barker. You might be wondering, why did they close this level crossing? Well, if you stick around, I'll show you why. With the rapid development and expansion of Mount Barker, this once quiet level crossing became much busier. Limited visibility for both trains and vehicles made it a growing safety concern. It was only a matter of time before an accident would occur. On their website in July, Mount Barker Council informs residents that they were going to close Fidler Lane to motor vehicles. In the statement, Council stated that Fidler Lane would remain open to pedestrian traffic as this is a popular walking route for local residents. You can't blame people for wanting to use this as a walking route still. After all, the houses that they live in are all stacked on top of one another. And then, a few months later, a Facebook post by the council stated that Fidler Lane would also be closed to pedestrian traffic. I can only think that this is due to the limited line of sight at this level crossing. Having photographed many trains at this location, I can confirm that the line of sight is pretty shocking. Here you can see my drone acting as a car. I come to a stop, I look to the left, I then look to the right to make sure there's no trains before proceeding over the level crossing. I hope this gives you a bit of an idea of how obstructive the line of sight is for both vehicles and trains at this location. It's also worth mentioning that most of the passive level crossings along the Mount Barker to Victor Harbour line have the same line of sight issue. So, how will the community get from one side of a railway line to the other? Well, enter Heysen Boulevard. Like other monumental stuff-ups in our state, I'm thinking of the Southern Expressway that was only one way in the morning and one way in the afternoon, the Burnside Tree, or the removal of our tramways. How does Heysen Boulevard fit into this same category? Well, it turns out they kinda forgot that the railway line was there and didn't bother about putting a level crossing in. The only issue is, the railway's been there for 140 years. It just didn't spring up overnight. According to council and media statements, responsibility for road infrastructure in this area falls on the individual developers. And of course, the railway conveniently marks the boundary between two separate developments. But in the original land deed, there was no mention of funding for a level crossing, so it just kinda got overlooked. Now we fast forward to 2023, and a joint contribution between the Mount Barker Council and state government was announced to finally install a level crossing. This active level crossing will have flashing lights and gongs, and will also provide a pedestrian crossing on each side of a roadway. But what does this mean for Fidler Lane? Well, Council is currently exploring options for improving safety at the crossing. This could range from installing a basic pedestrian maze to building a grade-separated overpass or underpass. Personally, I think the crossing will stay closed permanently. The road will be removed and the land surrounding the tracks will be rehabilitated with native vegetation. After all, with a fully functional, safe level crossing just a few hundred metres to the north of Fidler Lane, why bother about keeping it open? Of course, that's not the line that the council will take. They'll likely shift the blame to the Office of the National Rail Safety Regulator, citing their recent trend of moving away from approving level crossings altogether across Australia. I'd be keen to hear what you guys think. Once again, thanks for letting this blowing crow-eater share his thoughts on the project. If my opinions have offended anyone, there's some concrete waiting for you at your local Bunnings.